Thank you so much, ma'am. It was very comprehensive presentation, and you explained everything in a very detail, starting from the CPEC, then industrial parks, special economic zones, phases of CPEC, and it was very comprehensive. And I hope that our participants also enjoyed, and it was very insightful. Thank you so much for joining us, and it was wonderful presentation. Before moving towards our panel discussion, I would like to add a few things regarding this today's topic. So we are saying that this is basically the era of economic revolution for Pakistan, and what there are different projects, energy projects, special economic zones, hydropower projects, import export. You discussed in a very detail about it, especially the what we can export to China and how we can further strengthen our economic growth, and export our products, which you mentioned as well. So it was very good. Now, before moving towards our panel discussion, I would like to highlight few things. We all know that CPAC is the flagship project of Belt and Road Initiative, and it has ushered an era of socio-economic development for Pakistan, and the energy projects and industrial growth that will definitely boost Pakistan's economy. And you also talked about transportation. So the building of roads will definitely facilitate the transportation, which in turn will open up business avenues, and the development of Gwadar Seaport, which is very important. You also mentioned, along with the special economic zones, you talked about the development of Gwadar Port, and I think that will make Pakistan a trading hub, as all trade to and from Central Asia is going to adopt the shortest route through Gwadar. And definitely the phase two will be completed in 2030, and it will further open up towards the world, especially with the Central Asia. I would like to highlight that CPEC also faces an opposition. We discussed in our previous sessions as well, from the region, especially from India, because India has raised objections to the corridor for passing through Gilgit-Baltistan, and India has been trying to downplay the CPEC. So the India-funded construction of the road network linking Zarnaj border crossing between Afghanistan and Iran, and they are aimed at creating a link between Chabahar seaport and Central Asia. So India's opposition to CPEC is also because of China's role in the region, especially they are particularly focused on China-Pakistan economic corridor. And India is now participating in India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor (IMEC) that was launched during G20 summit, and they adopted the same path, we can say, to trade connectivity, and it is a westward-oriented route, because United States is definitely the main beneficiary of corridor. Please kindly turn off your mic. So I think seeing South Asia and the prospects of regional connectivity, the ground facts offer both the scope and challenges, and you mentioned in a very detail some of the recommendations as well, and you also mentioned about the security challenges, the political instability, and these are the main challenges. But I think the building of seaports and economic connectivity are positive developments through regionalism. And there are conflicting approaches as well when it comes to countering extremism, militancy, sabotage tactics by our enemies that are threat to not only to Pakistan but for regional peace and prosperity. And I think relations with Central Asian states are important for China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC's projection into Central Asia. And Afghanistan is also a foreign policy challenge for us, for Pakistan, and we need to focus more on stability in Afghanistan. Lastly, I would like to talk about SCO. SCO, we are member of SCO, and it is an important regional platform that is also a stakeholder And we have also a policy, Pakistan policy of East Asia policy with CPEC, and that focuses on economic integration. So the corridor between Kashgar and Gwadar will open up the prospects of trading ties between the two regions, and particularly between Pakistan and China. So Pakistan need to enhance its economic ties with the regional countries, because of stability in Afghanistan is also a key, because this second phase of CPAC is going to be completed inshallah in 2030, and Central Asian countries will also be benefited from this project. But for that, there should be a political stability, and there should not be a threat of militancy or terrorist attacks that will further strengthen our economic growth. So again, I would like to thank Ms. Sania for the wonderful presentation. It was very elaborative, and you discussed everything, almost everything, in a very detail on today's topic. Now I'll be moving towards the panel discussion, and for that I would hand over the floor to Syed Shamsul Hassan. If you are hearing me, Syed Shamsul Hassan, the floor is yours, and over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Thanoli. Good afternoon, everyone. We just had a round of very comprehensive and presentation from Ms. Sania Khan, and very thorough remarks on her presentation by Mr. Thanoli. Moving ahead, I would request all of you to please switch off your microphone so we can smoothly conduct this session. And I hope I am audible to all of you. A few points I would like to make as we move ahead on this panel discussion. It is about the economic revolution in Pakistan via connectivity, trade, and commerce. That is very interesting topic. Actually, when we look at the fascinating and beautiful story of how China did it their own way, how they were able to do it, what now we see China as an emerging superpower. So that's a very interesting story, and it gives us a lot of lessons. And perhaps it's time that we can learn from their good lessons. And also, while we think of replicating their success story, we have to look at our own circumstances, our own geography, our own socio-economic indicators, and our own structure, because we may be different than China in some way. We have that tribal culture in Pakistan, but still there are so many similarities that we can draw. There are so many parallels that we can think of it, and we can learn from them. The reform and opening up era of China, it started in late 70s by Premier Deng Xiaoping, and at that time their priority was to connect China. They started to evolve their network of roads, rails, and started to look at their energy requirements and energy problems. And once they did that, they started with whatever they had with them. Their manufacturing industry started with the toys, the cheap toys that they would export to West and around the world. And anyone who is late 40s or above 40 would recall that we used to ride the Chinese bicycle in 90s. And that was something they would not into the high-end manufacturing, but they were into something that they could do, and they would manufacture and they would export. So once their problem of connectivity and energy crisis was solved, the reform and opening up, they opened up to the world and they exported whatever they could. So we can we can learn from their story. And then come in 2000, the story of Jack Ma. I think everyone knows about him, the e-commerce giant of China, Alibaba, the e-commerce giant of China. So it was also the good work which they took from the reform and opening up era, and they further opened up to the world. And now, Alibaba, it's as, we can compare it with the Amazon. So it's as big as Amazon. And you can measure the daily transactions of Alibaba, and you would be amazed how big it is, how giant it is, how big it is. So we can learn a lot of lessons from them. The second point is that we have to look at our own human capital, because when we enhance the ability, the capabilities, the efficiency of our human resource, only then it would attract the foreign direct investment, it would attract the technology transfer, and we would be enabled to export that labor, that trained workforce to the world. And we have so many examples. Like in late 70s, Singapore, they were also obsessed with the industrial economy and industrial manufacturing, but they turned it into knowledge-based economy. So when they turn it knowledge-based economy now, if I quote, they are exporting their knowledge-based products around 300 billion of worth. I repeat, 300 billion worth of knowledge-based products are exported to the world. So they changed their mindset. Okay, fine, industrial economy, but now let's do something with the knowledge-based economy. So what textile manufacturing company could do, 10 laptops could do that at the lower input, at the less input, with the maximum output. So we have to see what is best for us. And when we do that, we would be having our problems solved related to agriculture sector, digital economy, tourism, and skilled and semi-skilled labor. We can export that to the world. We can do something related to technology transfer. I'm talking about technology transfer. China is doing so much technology transfer in the ASEAN region, Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia. You would see a lot of Chinese over there. And why is China doing that? Because those countries have that elevated level of human capital over there. So we have to ask this question, that fine, we are always looking at someone's help, someone to help us to, so we can somehow muddle up with the crisis situation when we are facing every 2-3 years. But we have to think that there are a lot of things that we can do in-house with minimal investment. I mean, what it takes to elevate your human resource, to train them. So these are the things we have to take into consideration. And let me tell you that it's not that we always blame our bureaucracy or our government. There are things that we can do ourselves. Government just have to encourage, government just have to convene it. We can do it, and we have done it in the past. if I give you the example, whenever there are floods, and we have the same administration, and we try to solve the problem through the same administration. We have the example of COVID, and we were doing better in the COVID. Our economy was good. I mean, compared to so many other countries, that was the same administration how we dealt with the COVID problem. Then another example of how our atomic program progressed over the period, and there was the support from each and every government, and there was so much consistency involved into it. So these are some of the programs we've been doing with the same administration, same bureaucracy, with these kind of fragile governments, we say. But the will should be there. And now it's really time to elevate our human capital, and that would really invite and solve so many problems. Invite foreign direct investment, technology transfer, and so it would solve so many problems for us. Given the fact that CPEC is a driver, given the fact that CPEC is the facilitator, now is the time that we look at for the next 10 years, the next decade, how it would look like. I mean, fine, very well on the papers, CPEC is doing great job. Analysts and journalists would be saying, they would be giving a rosy picture, but we have to do this audit ourselves. That from now on, from this point, what would be best for us, given our own structure, our own culture, and how we can progress. Anyway, there was some of the points I talked about. I would invite now into this interesting conversation, if Usman Zulfiqar Ali is with us, I would like to give him the floor